Hello and welcome to a lecture on optical networks. Learning outcomes. By the end of this session, student will be able to illustrate the optical networks. Here you may pause the video and answer this question. What are the desirable properties of optical networks? These are the desirable properties of an optical network. It should accommodate the large number of users. There should be the flexibility in resource allocation. It should have the low probability of jamming and blocking. The network should be highly reliable. A network should provide high capacity to the users. An optical network is a telecommunication network with optical fiber as a primary transmission medium. In contrast with the general telecommunication network, the medium could be a coaxial cable, copper wire, or unguided media, that is wireless. But in optical network, the transmission medium is strictly optical fiber. An optical network provides a connection between many users to enable them to communicate with each other by transporting the information from source to the destination. An optical network requires an intermediate stages to process the data for control operations. Thus, the intermediate stage of information transfer is required to follow the fundamentals of optical networking. The optical networking fundamentals essentially involve the methodology for interconnection of various optical devices together with the operational procedures for successful transportation of optical signals between source and the destination nodes. Optical fibers are primarily used to provide the point-to-point physical connection between the network nodes. The optical fiber can transmit and receive the signals using either unidirectional or bidirectional flow of data over a single optical fiber. The point-to-point fiber links can be used to establish the logical links between the nodes as well. For optical signal to reach the destination node using multi-hops, each channel is assigned a dedicated signal wavelength on which an optical signal is carried from source node to the destination node, and that path is known as light path. Here in this diagram, these circles represents the node and these dashed lines represents the logical link or the light path. The light path or the logical link is nothing but the path followed by the signal while its journey from source to the destination. These solid lines are nothing but the point-to-point fiber optic links. While considering the logical link, a channel with wavelength lambda 1 is allocated so that by using that wavelength only, the signal is transferred from the source machine to the destination machine. Let's see the types of topologies of optical network. The first type is point-to-point link. Here the node A is directly connected to the node B via an optical fiber cable, but this kind of topology is a dedicated kind of connection and it is a permanent. But the problem or the main disadvantage with this system or the topology is it greatly underutilizes the bandwidth or the capacity of the optical fiber. Here you can see a switched point-to-point link or the point-to-point link topology. When this node A wants or demands the connection with node B, then the centralized switch device will set up a connection or it will switch the data from node A to B. Same when the node B demands the connection with C or want to send the data to C, then this data is switched from B to C. This switched point to point link topology is the best example of conventional telephony. The next topology is bus topology. In bus topology, the data generally circulates bidirectionally. Here these nodes are connected to this central optical fiber, and on this fiber the data flows in both the directions. This bus has two endpoints, one on the left side and one on the right side. These nodes are connected to this central fiber. The data is input and removed from the optical fiber bus via a 4-port couplers. Each node is equipped with a 4-port coupler, and with that coupler only the data is launched onto the fiber or it is tapped off from the fiber. The next topology is the star topology. An optical star coupler forms a central node. Here it is a central node. The central node is formed by optical star coupler. The optical star coupler may be either passive or active. In passive operations, the star coupler at the node split the data in terms of power so that the signal is transmitted to all the nodes. Means the passive coupler will split the signal power to all the nodes. Suppose this is a node A wants to send the data to B, then the data will be passed through this central node and then it will go to the node B. Here you can see a extended star topology. This extended star topology has one additional device called repeater, and the central node of the first star is connected to the central node of the second star via a repeater. When a node from the first star, say let's say this node, wants to send the data to this node, that time from the source node the data will come to the central node of the first star, then through this repeater it will reach the second central node of the star and it will go on to the destination node. While the active node or the active star coupler, the data is split into an optoelectronic star coupler. With an active node, the data is split in an optoelectronic star coupler which carries out both optical to electrical and electrical to optical convergence, and therefore this process does not contribute to overall network loss. But when the central node operates in passive mode, that time it split the power of the optical signal, so it contributes to network loss. The major disadvantage of this topology is if the central node fails, then the whole network collapses. The ring topology. The data usually circulates unidirectionally, means if the data is circulating in clockwise direction, then the data from this node will come to this node and finally it reaches this last node. Suppose this is a node A and this is a node D, then if A wants to send the data to node D, then the data has to pass through the intermediate in between all the nodes to reach the D node. Dual ring topology. Here there are two connections. You can clearly see here are the two rings, the inner ring and the outer ring. So each node is connected to a neighbor node via two links. The data flow is in opposite direction to each other in both the rings, in the two rings. The rings are independent unless there is a failure in one of the ring. During the failure, suppose if the inner ring fails, that time the outer ring is used to bypass the fault. Means suppose the inner ring between these two nodes fails, that time this outer ring is used so that the data could be circulated in a whole ring. The next topology is mesh topology. Here you can see a fully connected mesh. Here each node is connected to every other node of the network via a dedicated link. So this fully connected mesh topology is very failure resistant. Even if one of the link fails between the two nodes, then by using the other links the node can be reached. The another mesh topology is a partially connected mesh topology. Here some of the nodes are connected to multiple nodes. Means what? Not each and every node is connected to the every other node. Means the important nodes only are connected via multiple links. This topology takes the advantage of some of the redundancy provided by the fully connected mesh. The expense and the complexity associated with the partially connected mesh topology is somewhat less than the fully connected mesh topology. These are the references. Thank you.